Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Scott. I couldn't be more excited to do the review of the newest batch from Craig Barrel Proof batch B524. What does this batch have to offer coming off of A124? We're gonna talk about that today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. With this being something that's released 3 times a year, I think the anticipation coming off of each one continues to kind of grow and build just based on what it is. And again, this is batch B524. So as I mentioned before, extremely excited to kind of get into this. I'm one of those ones that falls into that same kind of category of being excited for the newest batch coming off of every single batch that's released prior. You always have that anticipation of what's next. Is it going to be better? Where is it going to kind of fall? Let's go ahead and dive into the newest release, the B524 from Craig. So the B524 is coming in at 130.6 proof. This being aged 11 years, 2 months. So about 5 months older than the A124 release. And pretty standard pricing, $75, which again is an incredible value for what it is you're getting based on what this bourbon has to offer each and every release. All right, so what do you say we go ahead and dive into this and kind of give you a little idea of what the nose and the palate are going to have to offer again on the B524. So first color, as you can see, pretty standard, deep, rich, dark mahogany type of color, moving the whiskey around in the glass. As always, beautiful, beautiful oils on the glass. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into those and see what this one's going to give us. Boy, so right out of the gate, extremely heavy vanilla custard notes. Again, that kind of tried and true or standard, really nice rickhouse, that sweet rickhouse oak kind of feel to it. Bold, rich brown sugars. One thing I'll say for this thing being 130.6 proof, I'm not getting a ton of ethanol coming off of the glass. I have allowed this to open up about 10 minutes prior to doing the review. Something a little bit interesting, I'm not always picking up as much of a heavy orange zest note that I am with this release. This seems to really be kind of jumping out and be more in the forefront. Beautiful black cherry notes. A little hint of like a black pepper. Yeah, again, the more I kind of dive into this, there's just not that ethanol that's typically there. And again, at 130.6 proof, you'd expect for there to be some, but I'm really not getting that. It's just a lot of really nice richness so far. Little touch of mint there as well. Not picking up a ton of like kind of spice, rye spice, baking spices, just those really rich kind of rickhouse oak, orange zest, little hint of kind of butterscotch there right at the end. Beautiful vanilla custards on this. More importantly, let's see how this one's going to taste. Cheers. So my very first thought is, again, going back to that rickhouse effect. There's that beautiful oak and combo of the sweetness. Again, really nice kind of heavy black cherry notes. This one is much deeper, darker, richer, coming off of the A124, which was more oak tannin driven, if that makes sense. This has much more of that kind of sweetness, that rickhouse effect that it has to it. Beautiful butterscotches. The more I continue to talk a little bit, more of that butterscotch kind of continues to come out in this one. Yeah, really, really, really nice molasses note that's there. This is very rich. There's something that reminds me of when I go to the ballpark. There are these kind of candied almonds that I'll get, and this has a lot of that kind of feel to it so far. So right now where we are, this has those really nice, again, those sweet, rich oak, butterscotch, molasses, brown sugars, really fantastic dark fruit notes. The balance of this feels so much better coming off of the A124. Again, trying to compare anything to the C923 is going to be very difficult because of what that really was and the ages of those whiskeys that it had in it. This again is starting to feel in line with where and what we expect from Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs. I'm really enjoying the amount of butterscotch that's starting to come through. The combo of those brown sugars, molasses, that sweet kind of rickhouse oak feel, that nice kind of orange zest. And this feels like if you've ever had a cocktail and they kind of express the orange over top of it with that char, this feels a lot like that. There's that kind of really nice, intense orange zest feel to this. Coming off of A124, the balance of this much more improved in my opinion. You've got all of these different waves of flavors that are hitting the palate individually, but as a combo altogether. So I really like how cohesive this batch really is so far. And this feels again like a bourbon that has some room for improvement. So as this begins to kind of open up, I think there's still another level of where this can go and maybe even shine even more than it is today. And the reason I say that I feel it has an opportunity to kind of continue to improve is a few of these notes kind of start to pop out or become a little bit heavier the longer it kind of sits on the palate. So I'm searching for those notes that are there. I just feel that they're going to explode even more as this bottle opens up a little bit more. I'm absolutely loving that there's this little extra hint of this kind of charred orange zest feel to it. It's just allowing the overall kind of profile to be enhanced a little bit more with those kind of dark fruits, the butterscotch, that beautiful rich kind of sweet oak, great balance to it. A little bit of spice, not overly spicy. I wouldn't say the heat or the proof is going to be something that you're overly focusing on. It just feels very well blended, and it's getting back into that category again, like I mentioned before, of what it is we expect from Elijah Craig and their releases of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I'll say kind of as the finish kind of begins to develop or is there, you start to pull out or get a little bit more of those drying effects, just a little bit. Nothing that's going to be off-putting, but for me, the interpretation for that is when you start getting into leathers, tobaccos, things that are naturally kind of dry from that standpoint. So you feel those kind of rich, more earthy notes combined or blended very well with the oranges, that again, that rickhouse oak, the butterscotch, those vanilla custards. In my opinion, this makes the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof back on the map. Like, they have redeemed themselves again for me, coming off of A124 that I felt still was good, but was kind of lacking in the overall kind of complexity and balance. This has much more of that. And I think, again, if you're an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof fan, this is going to bring you right back to, I believe, where it is you want to be. And again, now, like I mentioned again before, the anticipation for the C924 can only get higher at this point. In my opinion, this is going to be a batch that I think people are going to truly enjoy. Is going to be an extremely sippable bourbon, one that people are going to really enjoy just spending some time with. And I mentioned before again that I feel that there's some room for this bourbon to continue to open up and maybe even slightly improve. It will be interesting. I'm going to try to go back to this in about 30 days and just see if that indeed has happened. But again, overall, my recommendation would be on this one, it being a buy. Don't know yet whether or not it would be considered like kind of a backup, but I think everyone's going to be extremely happy and pleased to kind of taste through this one and realize that I think this is kind of putting the Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs back on that kind of roadmap to where things should be and maybe where things kind of are continuing to go. So with that, I'd love to hear from you, whether you've had this batch or if this is something that you are in high anticipation of like I was. I would love to know your thoughts overall on the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, maybe coming off of the A124 and now the B524, where we are with things. So let me know in the comments below your overall thoughts on maybe the B524 and your, again, anticipation of where maybe the C924 is going to go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out the Patreon link down in the description. That down there along with other great things for you as well. So with that, and as always, remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.